2018 meeting of the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Oshkosh. Would you please take the roll call?
Belter,
Present. Here.
Hintz,
Here.
Lasky, Pearson, Stan,
Here.
Cummings.
Here. Consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes from February 23rd, 2017.
Move approval?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
In new business, we have two resolutions. The first is Resolution 1706, grant utility easement to S&S Auto Body, 6th Avenue and Nebraska Street.
Second.
Any comment from anyone in the public? I see no one coming forward. Would you please take the roll? Oh, any discussion?
Questions?
Questions?
No, that should work well.
Better than it used to be.
Still allows us to close down 6th Avenue someday and turn it into an entertainment mall, so.
Yes, it
Are
will.
they actually rerouting the lateral?
Yes.
And S&S paid for that?
RDA isn't. I don't know if the sewer utility, S&S had to pay for that. Everything off the main, I think
To
S&S.
my knowledge, yes, for the rerouting of it, because it's their service, so.
There's no further discussion. Would you please take the roll?
Belter,
Aye.
Hintz,
Aye.
Stan,
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Carried 4.
Next is Resolution 17-07, approve land disposition of vacant lot formerly 1909 Jefferson Street to West 17th Street Properties LLC, $4,700.
I move 1707.
Second.
Is there any discussion from the people in the public? I see no one coming forward. Discussion amongst the members here.
What other uses are there for this small piece of property?
There's
50 feet
very,
by 60 feet is like,
very limited uses, as I tried to identify. It's gonna have to be incorporated into some kind of use of the bar, as my expectation. Or if somebody would clear the entire site, they could use it as a redevelopment someday. But in the short term, while the bar's there, that's about the only possible user for that site.
really all the adjoining property owners knew that they could make an offer if they wanted to buy it.
Correct.
Is there any further discussion? Would you please take the roll?
Belter,
Aye.
Hintz,
Aye.
Stan,
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Carried 4.
Next, we have the Executive Director's Report. Mr. Davis.
Yes, thank you. Buckstaff property, I don't know if you've driven by recently, but all the buildings are down. The city has completed their work on removing all the concrete and pilings, and the contractor is building all the site itself. They've got it fenced off now and continuing with the construction, so things seem to be going forward. My expectation is we might get a few more bills trickling in. In fact, if Andrea could check, I have to do that report for council, see if there were any final bills that trickled in on the project. But it came in way under budget for the city's costs, so it's been a very successful project up until this point, so very pleased. And there's, talking to the contractors last week, they're still on schedule to open this fall, so
It looked like the foundation was done like a month ago, so what have they been doing for the last month?
site preparation I saw on the north side and installing, there's a
It looked like they were
whole, they're going down because the stormwater requirements, they have to put in they're basically stormwater retention is underneath the parking lot. So they're constructing the paved drain, I think is the brand name of the stormwater detention.
Isn't that below lake level?
Well, that is an issue because you have to, that had to be lined as part of that so you wouldn't get groundwater back and forth between the stormwater, and it's only 2 feet down, so they had to retain a lot and not let that water migrate in and out. That was actually one of the extra costs that we put into the TIF for the extraordinary development costs for that particular site, because groundwater is very high there.
Well, really, the whole thing is hard surface with parking lot and roof of
Yes.
the arena, so they must have a lot of retention requirements.
Yes, and the city will be, they are going through the final design for the stormwater conveyance for when they discharge into the pipe, that'll go down Main Street to 14th and then out to the lake south of the Pioneer Marina, approximately.
They don't need a lift station, do they?
No, they do not, but you're right, that box culvert or pipe will be partially flooded with lake water, depending on the elevation there.
When does steel come? It looked,
I saw the steel arriving yesterday when I went out to take a look at it. They put it in the northeast corner is what I saw. And as soon as, I know the state is reviewing the building plans, and as soon as the state approves those, I expect they'll go vertical with the steel then.
There was a group that was recommending some facade changes architecturally. Do you know if that led anywhere?
Yes, I got a copy of the submittal that they made to the state, and it does have that new facade. And in talking to Planning Director Burrich, he'll be bringing that new facade back to the Plan Commission for approval. It far exceeds what we require for the zoning, but there's a few other things that comes back with the sign package, and I wanna say some parking changes as part of that site. So the Plan Commission and the council will be seeing some kind of amendment to the plan development that was approved.
There was more landscaping on the,
In the front,
in the front.
yep. And I
think
think
there's-
that cost them a few parking spaces.
There was a group that felt the arena as designed was kind of an arena. They were hoping to have it a little more compatible with the convention center, the welcome center at the university, and some other things to kind of a little, I guess, a more welcoming, more contemporary look to it, so.
And the drawing I saw submitted to the state, like I said, far exceeds the city's requirements for the facade. And I think it's very similar to what the group proposed. The city wasn't really involved with the revision to that. That's something that the private group and the contractor and the architect worked out.
Okay, good.
have we seen the sign draft yet? Usually these
I've
arenas
not
have
seen them.
huge multicolor moving sign displays that would have.
I'm expecting to see some kind of sign package submitted later this summer because
That's
they want to have it
council-
installed.
It's a council approval.
Yes, it's part of the plan development.
As I recall talking to the architect, it was more of a give it more of a Times Square feel, bigger city, more everything, so that'd be kind of cool.
Will that be on the building or separate?
No, I think it was going to be a pole sign near the intersection.
Okay, like
I think they'll still have signage on the building itself as well, but the one I think Mr. Belter's
Pylon.
referring to is the pylon out by the corner of the South Park.
South Park, yeah.
But I haven't seen it yet, so I think that's what they were talking about until they submitted. Speculating.
New Year.
So that continues to progress very nicely. Speaking of projects that progress very nicely, the 1017 Bowen Street house, I think we have a few pictures to show you now that we're basically done.
Well, the snow melted.
Some of it, at least when the picture was taken. Nice job with wood flooring inside the house. And you can see the work they did on the walls in the basement. That was probably the biggest issue, was that the walls were starting to cave in.
How many open houses have we had?
We haven't had any yet, unfortunately.
scheduled?
It's, was hoping to do one this month, but I'm almost near the Memorial Day, so. Actually, I just got a notification from HUD that June is homebuyer month.
Oh.
So it'd be,
Fitting.
how fitting is correct, so that's why I'm looking to do. I thought I'd have one like during the week at night, and then do like a Saturday morning or something, so.
We could have our next RDA meeting there.
There's no furniture, you'd have to stand.
Sometimes your best salespeople can be the neighbors.
Mhm.
So if you can maybe send those to kind of the neighborhoods, you know.
Yep, we wanted to
North
send
and
out a
south.
notice to the neighborhood and let them know about the open house, and we have a sign out front with a box, you know, for flyers in it, and we've had 3 showings, and we also have another one tomorrow, so.
And I'm very proud of how we
Yeah,
kept
nice
the
job.
budget and how the product looks, and I think it's an improvement to that neighborhood. Kind of in
So-
line with what I think, I was hoping the RDA was looking to see us achieve, so. And hopefully we can break even, if not make a little money on it.
Ellen, what do you expect on the lot on Merritt, where the house came down? What are reasonable expectations?
Putting grass on it
Putting grass on
at
it?
this point in time,
Uh-huh,
because it's a rather small lot,
yeah, yeah.
I think it's gonna eventually either be combined with another lot next to it for a redevelopment, or just one of the neighbors might wanna purchase it for,
Buy it, right. Uh-huh.
cause it's not gonna be a whole lot larger than the one that we had on Jefferson there. So, it'll be, I think combined with something next to it.
Something else.
What are setbacks in those lots?
I don't even know the zoning off the top of my head, but my expectation is it's gonna be somewhere in the 25-foot range now. Mm-hmm.
But it is a lot of record and could be rebuilt. They can do averaging, I think, of the adjacent properties, so it could be rebuilt. But
Well,
probably
Would
some variances.
would we ever consider offering those as small neighborhood gardens until like we did with the stuff on Jefferson?
Yes, it's possible. There'd have to be a neighborhood association who'd wanna be responsible for it, or an entity like that, because the city isn't geared up to do that ourselves. I don't remember if that's in a, which neighborhood association.
That's near east, and I
Near
don't
east.
think
They don't have one.
What about the one on Wagon Broad?
That one, I
That's-
think is that in River East?
I think it is.
And I know I mentioned that to the planners about what they're going to do about that in the neighborhood plan, so I know it's on their radar. for
Okay.
Their neighborhood plan that they're working on right now.
that is a bigger lot than
Mhm.
Merritt. So
Yes.
we have had several calls on that one, so we'll see.
Next item is South Shore, so I guess I broke it into several different pieces. Morgan District is the piece going from Oregon to the west towards Boatworks, and good news is, DNR added to the grant that they gave us last fall with the final analysis they were able to give us, almost $800,000 towards that, so I'm hoping we'll be able to build more Riverwalk later this year. Depends on the bidding, of course, but we'll start there at the Oregon Street Bridge, and we'll put the new Riverwalk on top of the new sheet pile that was installed last year to make a new seawall, and then it'll be just regular Riverwalk till we get to a wetland section, and then it transitions into a boardwalk type of thing. So we'll bid it in we'll get the basic piece done past the seawall, and then I think we're talking about every 100 feet would be an alternate bid to see how far we can go with how many dollars that we end up having. So hopefully we'll get good bids and get that very far to the west as we can. We also submitted the next grant for 2018 that was due here in May of 2017. So 2018, we want to pick up where this grant ends and basically gets all the way to Boatworks, so we can hook it up to where the bridge kind of ends about 3 or 4 feet off the ground, and we can bring it down to the ground and connect it all the way through. But it all depends on the bid and how much we can get in grant for next year, because DNR's been very generous, we've been very thankful. We've gotten about 40 to 50% of the money through grants on the Riverwalk, so
So that would complete that?
that would be my goal, depending on how the bids turn out. Hopefully, Alan's fingers are crossed that we could finish it in 2018, at least through the Morgan District. And then you'd have a continuous piece from Wisconsin Avenue Bridge and the Fox Valley Tech and the Senior Center and the boat launch. You could stay on the south side all the way to basically Dockside Tavern.
And has there been any more vandalism in that small park that we just put in?
And the small park there at the end of Michigan,
With the kayak launch and so forth?
There was some?
Not that I've heard of.
I've heard that they've did something with the railing at the end of the, bridge.
At the bridge,
Mm-hmm. But then they repaired it right away. And then I did include, option F was the recommendation for the city council on that DOT Oregon Jackson Bridge alternative. That's the lift bridge with the two, river walks on the north and south side included. So there'd be a bridge in the same alignment. It'd still be a lift. It'd be slightly higher than the existing, but the Riverwalk would stay at grade with the Riverwalk. You wouldn't have to go up on top of the, go to the street and push a button to get across. So, at least it includes the Riverwalk, which if they were just going to rehab the existing one, we wouldn't have the Riverwalk going underneath the bridge. So, that was good for the Riverwalk. And I know the Morgan District guys say they're working on plans, but we haven't received any plans on the rest of the development. And also on the South Shore, Art Dumke continues to work with staff on his development options and funding scenarios, and we keep making progress, but it's a big project and it's still not complete yet. And then the granary project, that's the RDA parcel, gave him the option for that southwest quadrant of Nebraska and 6 for the parking lot. That got submitted as part to the Plan Commission, and that's on the council agenda for next Tuesday night. I'm hoping the council will go along with Plan Commission and approve their a specific implementation plan and their TIF, because they did apply for TIF funds for that particular project. I think the Landmarks Commission also designated that a historic landmark, local historic landmark, so they
Like
can,
you get the tax credits.
they can get tax credits, and they can use the existing building code, historic building code, which is, means that you don't have to do everything that today's building code would require them to do, so, it's an advantage for redevelopment, lowers their costs. So hopefully that'll be approved by council next week. Let's see, it's not specifically on the agenda, but we did hear from Mr. Burns saying that his windows will be, start cutting those in June. So I expect he'll be in for a building permit to start cutting in windows. Let's see, and then Marion and Pearl, Mr. Dumke is working on the plans for the very corner there at Jackson and Marion. His options through September of 2018. And then the Jackson and Pearl parcel, if you recall, that brewery tap house, his option expires in July of this year. I haven't heard anything specific, but I know he's out there still trying to work on his project.
On Jackson Marion, do we have any control over, do we want another multifamily building next to 3 multifamilies plus another multifamily with a new student housing? Do we really want that whole Marion Road project to be like 1,200 apartments?
I know Mr. Dumke's working on a mixed-use building, so it'd be commercial for at least the first floor at the corner. But I don't know if there'd be more residential above that. My expectation is there probably would be, but it's been clear that he's expecting to have commercial on the first floor.
Certainly the original plan wasn't just to put apartments in the project. But
I think we'll stay with commercial all the way along Jackson, but I don't, even the one behind Aurora Clinic towards just south of the water tower, it might just be a parking lot. That's what plenty of people have asked us just for out a parking lot, believe it or not. Something to serve city center or something to serve the Marion Road area.
What's the paint design on the water tower? Do we have one yet?
I know we had something from engineering regarding the standard paint design, and I think that went to council. I thought it was just gonna have the city logo on it. So I don't know what color specifically, if it's white or blue or something like that. I can get back to
No, it's up to
RDA.
I've kind of
Next
forgotten
meeting.
what, it's been so long ago that I don't recall what we even looked at.
It'll
I
be a
just remember
wonderful
city logo.
surprise when,
Yeah,
I want a big lake fly on it. Three-dimensional.
All right.
My son wants a sailboat.
Funny that's on your mind right now, Steve.
And my house,
And your
Yes.
house.
and your house.
And my house.
Nice east wind.
Oh, gee. Some years ago, I went with Jim Staple, took to Australia, and when you get out in the center, you're in the big black fly area, so every place sells these great net things down, and it's fine. I just mow my lawn with my net on.
oh,
Works well.
that's your Australian souvenir that you.
That's my Australian souvenir,
Yeah.
right? yeah.
Beekeeper.
A bee, it's like a beekeeper, right, yeah.
Even though it's not on the agenda, we still have one opening on the RDA, so if you have anyone in mind, have them get a hold of us. I've called John Birmingham a few times, and if you can think of someone to fill your shoes, so to speak.
Talked to two people, I think one applied, the other one was, I just talked to him last week, so.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Next meeting. Regular scheduled meeting.
Regularly scheduled would be in July. We might need to have a special one in the meantime, but that depends on how some projects turn out.
Okay, look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. We're adjourned.
Thank you.